Something that I always struggled with when I was learning all this stuff was understanding the way all these complex finance things that's going on in the world and the way that they affect us as traders and investors on the ASX or crypto or whatever it is you're investing in. And what I wanted to do today was explain this the US debt ceiling stuff that's going on for you as quickly and simply as possible, mainly because it might help some of you out there who may not have the time or the will or the energy to understand this. And it's definitely something that I would have appreciated when I was learning all this stuff. So the US debt ceiling. These these topics are very complex, many layers, many different aspects. So please bear in mind that I've given you the bare bones, just so we can understand the basics of what's going on. But obviously, there's a lot more details out there. So just bear that in mind as we go on. You can dig into it as deep as you want. So, where does the US debt come from? The US issues bonds. They borrow money of people, businesses, that type of thing. So they can be provided with extra funds because they needed funds over the budget. Things like infrastructure and to control the money supply. So bonds, we can buy them in Australia. For those of you who don't know, I got into bonds a little bit in the past. If you just buy bonds and hold them, they are very safe. They're considered the safest investments that you could possibly get, mainly because if the government's unable to pay their debts to people or to businesses or whatever, then we've got probably more serious problems than money, right? If the government goes broke, essentially, is kind of a way to sum it up. So, this is why many people will hedge their investments by using bonds. They buy money off, or sorry, they lend money to the government, and the government pays you back with interest. There's many different types. You can go onto your, Australia has them. You can go onto your whoever your broker is online or whatever, and you can find these exchange traded bonds online. You can just buy them and sell them as you want. Trading bonds is very complex. They consider the bonds traders some of the most intelligent traders out there. I never really traded them. I bought them and held them, and then essentially they just pay you back with a little extra when they're finalized. But this is the core of what's going on, is that the US has bonds and people basically that lend them money so they can do stuff. So things like the money supply can be controlled because, say, for example, the US government can buy bonds from banks, and that gives banks more money and encourages more lending. So it's kind of influencing the money supply, right? So that you can use these obviously very large amounts of money involved, but to actually influence the money supply in the economy. So the debt ceiling is the maximum amount the US government can borrow via bonds. Pretty straightforward. If this ceiling is reached, there's a risk the US will default on bonds. They have never defaulted in the past. So this would obviously this would cause catastrophic. Um, this would be a catastrophe if the US was unable to pay back their bonds. They would try to find other ways to pay them back. Uh, but yeah, because bonds are considered so secure, it would cause a massive financial catastrophe if all the businesses and traders and people, individuals and everything, entities are unable to be paid back their bonds and the interest on them. Uh, I mean, we would probably see some kind of economic downturn like we've never seen. So they've raised the debt ceiling, I think, 70 times or so in the past. So they've never actually defaulted on it. So you can safely assume they'll likely raise this ceiling, but there's a lot of political. The reason they don't do it straight away is because there's a lot of political stuff going on around it. As you can imagine, should we pay it? We shouldn't. Sorry. Should we raise it? We shouldn't raise it, etc., etc. And this is what causes a lot of fear in people, just in case they don't actually raise the ceiling. makes no sense, right? But people still behave in a defensive way, and they will remove their money from more risky things and go more defensive. So things like things like gold, precious metals, stuff like that, which would tend to be more secure than stocks during these potential times, during these kind of times. So this type of fear that the US will default causes, the fear that the US will default makes investors defensive, like I said. Um, and this is a fantastic opportunity for us, right? So statistically, if they've raised it 70 times, they're going to raise it again, especially because it has catastrophic circumstances. You've probably seen the ASX being affected over the last week or 2 weeks or so. So we can pretty much close to be assured that whatever downturn this causes, it's going to go back up in a somewhat significant way. The market always overreacts, right? When the announcement's made that when the ceiling is going to be increased, right? So there are many different ways we can make money off this. The most obvious way is to wait until everyone freaks out, they sell all their stocks, and then we buy some at a cheaper price. Wait till it goes up and sell, or hold it, whatever you want to do. Um, when there's talks of the ceiling, you can short the market if you have the facility to do that, which means, for those of you who don't know, means to make money when the market goes down. We can invest in indices that track the opposite. So there's ways to short the ASX when you don't short it, when you don't have you don't have that facility. Like, there are indexes that when it goes up, the index goes down, and vice versa. We can go to precious metals like gold that tend to increase during these times. There's heaps of different ways, and the most of the richest investors, if not all, make most of their money during things like this, economic unrest or fear, and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for listening.